2025. It is 6 p.m. and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. So, hearing was on June 28th of 2024. Kevin Bassett, on behalf of the 70-25 LLC, filed a petition with the Select Board for a road layout under RSA 231:8. Per RSA 231:9, required notification of this public hearing was sent by certified mail, return receipt requested to 7025 LLC and New Hampshire Electric Co-op on May 9th, 2025, in accordance with RSA 231:10. Notice was also posted at the Nottingham Town Office and the Nottingham Post Office and filed with the Town Clerk's Office per RSA 43:3. Nottingham Select Board is holding this public hearing to receive input regarding the petition to alter an existing highway pursuant to RSA 30, which allows towns to alter any such existing highway within their town for which there shall be occasion. The subject roadway is a Class 5 road now known as Channel Street, formerly a section of Lamprey Drive, extending from Dolph Dam Road past Indian Run to Lamprey Drive. The purpose of the petition is not to create a new road, but to clarify the location and width of the existing road. The board will gather public comment during this hearing prior to making a decision on the petition. The public hearing notice is as follows. The Nottingham Select Board will hold a public hearing to receive public comment pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 231:8 to alter any such existing highway within their town for which there shall be occasion. The subject is already a Class 5 road now known as Channel Street, formerly a section of Lamprey Drive, extending from Dolph Dam Road past Indian Run to Lamprey Drive. Select Board has received a petition requesting this layout only to clarify location and width of Channel Street. As part of the process, Select Board will gather public input during this hearing before making its decision. Public hearing will be held Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the meeting room, Nottingham Town Offices, 139 Stage Road, Nottingham, New Hampshire. Residents are encouraged to attend and comment. Written comments may be submitted in advance to the town administrator. We can skip this part. As of the hearing, no written comments have been received for the record. All right, background. A review of plans and other documentation recorded at the Rockingham County Registry of Deeds does not provide the specific width for the section of road now known as Channel Street. This process is not being. It is to alter any such highway occasion, again, RSA 231:8. So, do you want me to read all this board consider part? Do we need to for the record? All right. Occasion for layout under RSA 231:8. Number one, the public convenience and public necessity for the highway. The road existed prior to its formal acceptance via a petition warrant article in 2021. The road provides access to 27 residential homes in one vacant parcel. A formal layout will define road maintenance parameters. The layout will ensure reliable emergency vehicle access. Two, the financial burden to be imposed upon the municipality's taxpayers for construction and maintenance, and the road has already been accepted as a Class 5 road, town maintained road. No new construction costs are involved. And then number three, the rights of owners, if any, whose land would have to be taken. Kevin Bassett, the sole owner of 70-25 LLC, is the only owner impacted by this section of road. We'll now open for public comment. There's no limitation allowed. And then we'll get into our action steps. So, open for public comment. Mr. Bassett, would you like to start? Sure.
I think that's my invitation.
Yeah, sure is.
That's at 101 Shore Drive. We initiated this in order to figure out where the roads were at the time, Lamprey, now Channel Street, because the next step is to subdivide roughly 30 acres. It's on the northwest side.
Yep.
And that's what we do next with the planning board, is a subdivision between number one son and number one daughter. So in order to know where that road was, we thought it best to initiate this procedure, maybe the first in the town, maybe not, but
I haven't been able to find any history.
hopefully this helps the board and others as we go forward with the other roads, And so that was my incentive in doing this part of this. So we took it one step further. We did a survey and a plan. We sent a surveyor that actually defines all of the roads, including Indian Run, Lamprey Drive, and such. So this was recorded at the Deed of Records. It had an update, or it will be recorded with an update.
Correct.
And because Channel Street is now a Channel Street, and it was Lamprey Drive, so it's this shows, I think, the latest configuration that you would approve. And you have this drawing.
Yeah. John has a copy of it. We've reviewed it several times.
Okay.
And again, I just want to thank you for your expense, your time, your patience. This is obviously kind of new to all of us as we've been trying to work through this and do this in the correct manner. Just want to state that. This picture won't really show if anybody can see, but the road in question is here in the middle. The outline area in yellow is his whole parcel. Basically, the road in question bisects his land, and he's just getting it marked so that you can identify it for anybody that's watching and is curious about this before they watch it later on the planning board section. I don't really think there's much else. Unless you have anything else you want to say right now, we can let additional public comment if anybody has any on this. You have spent significant time and money to get this, and you continued on and did all the other streets as well, which is obviously a benefit of the town. I believe the real question we're going to come up to is determining the road width. I think we had talked about, did you, in the plans, did we turn about, is it a 25 rough mean width is what the road is right now?
Correct.
Yes.
That was through the select board at the time.
Yep.
And verbalized to us from the town lawyers that they would agree to the 25-foot easement on all of the roads.
Yep.
And I believe that's what's shown in this latest.
Correct.
Correct. Again, you're not creating a new road. We're just trying to formalize it so that when the next stage it goes to be subdivided, it's the first building block under what you're trying to do. I know that there was some question from the planning board on the subdivision regulations and making it expanded to 33 feet, which would be of significant cost to yourself and obviously quite a disturbance to the road going from where we are up to a 33, not even talking about right of way, but making a mean passable road of.
I thought 25 would keep the rural accent of the road.
Correct. And I can't speak for the planning board part of it. I believe, any additional growth beyond this, we're not trying to set a precedence of, establishing certain roads and all that going in for new subdivisions. This is kind of, they might set if you expand beyond any further, it might have to come to additional regulations and be increased at that time if your kids then want to split it up into their kids and it keeps cutting the piece of pie smaller. They may have to get into where this road has been established probably longer than most roads in the area. Does anybody else have anything immediately we wanted to just roughly talk about now with Kevin at the chair before we allow somebody else to rotate through?
No, I have nothing specific other than, I think we open for public comment and
Let people come up. So Kevin, thank you again. We'll let anybody else kind of hop up now. And again, we're not getting into the subdivision portion of it for anybody listening. We are strictly looking at the road layout for the road that's been there, which is now identified as Channel Street.
Jason, if you could just shift that back a little bit, it's blocking the board table. Oh, maybe so the audience can view it as well. Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak to this matter?
Yes.
Hello?
Glenn Griswold, 33 Deerfield Road, and a member of the planning board. I was the one who authored the letter that was sent to the select board with some of our concerns. And I just want to touch on a couple of things as that were in my letter. First of all is that the 25-foot right-of-way only leaves 2.5 feet either side of the traveled way if the road is sufficient for the fire truck to go down it per the National Fire Prevention Association's recommendations of a 20-foot width for the traveled way. So that would be insufficient for any sort of improvement work that needed to be done, ditches, side slopes, things of that nature.
I was just saying there's no other.
And removal, drainage, things of that way. The other portion of it is that any cross culverts beneath Channel Lane or street will eventually need to be repaired or replaced. And at a 25-foot width with a 20-foot travel way, it'll be insufficient for the highway department to repair that without encroaching or trespassing on private lands. And last but not least, the town ordinances require a minimum right-of-way width of 50 feet. And we would like to ask for clarification if the Class 5 road, does the town have an obligation to establish the right-of-way such that it can support any future improvements such as paving or other improvements that are needed to upgrade the road to town standards.
This is the big one. Do we have, are we putting in the full right of way on this? Is this establishing a full right of way, or, because there's none of the roads that were,
None of the roads that were accepted in 2021, they were accepted as is.
is.
correct.
So unless they were specified on a plan or a survey, then.
Which is one of the reasons why we were asking if that, if moving forward, a 25-foot right-of-way is used, that will potentially open the town to, in a manner similar to what's happening with Beach Road. Granted, I know that that's neither here nor there as far as it goes, but if the highway department needs to repair part of that road, they're going to be encroaching or trespassing to be able to do that.
Should it be clear, this is 25-foot road width, there's no right of way in anything we're discussing right now. It is strictly like the gravel on the top. I don't think, we are not getting a right of way. This is kind of a marking out what's there.
My understanding of it was that the Board of Selectmen's process is in determining what that right-of-way width is as part of it.
Because then that opens up a whole, if we
Right.
start getting into right away, then we're getting into like
You're
rewriting.
into the layout of a new road.
We're getting into the layout of the new road, we're getting into new deed, we're getting into the swapping of land. Like we maintain the road, but we don't have a right of way of the road. The 2021 petition
Class 5 road
article,
is literally a right-of-way.
yeah,
That's the definition.
okay. I mean, kind of stuck with how they were accepted in 2021,
Mhm.
which,
But this is our opportunity to at least correct a portion of something that was done. You know, I mean, Glenn makes a great point that, you know, with a 25-foot right-of-way, there isn't a room to do anything. I mean, I have no problems with the construction of the road width itself as it is at 25 feet. But I believe that the town needs to protect itself and have some right of way beyond that 25 feet.
do we have anything else from the legal's interpretation?
No, I mean, this is your period to
Right.
determine what that is.
I mean, when we talked about this last with the board that was in place at the time, we're leaving it as is, mark it as, identify it as is, which he has done everything that we told him to do at that period of time, to then at this point say, well, now we want to be a right of way at 33 or 50 feet. That's an additional time and cost put onto somebody who's already done significant waiting and cost. I'm still listening to everybody's like input on this. It is, and I get your point about like the culverts and all that, which there's some other issue where we had at one point where we were trying to move a culvert and it was the same type of thing where it was on both sides of the road and the person didn't really like it. And it's like, but the water's damming up on one side or the other and the culvert's crushed, like we have to replace this. And I think we've got that culvert replaced. Like, I think it's, but again, like you said, if with the ownership of the beach road, when it changes, if all of Bassett's don't own this road anymore, and then we go to fix something, somebody's like, I don't want it fixed because there's two different families. I don't really know what happens in terms of maintenance. I think it's just to make the road passable. This is what we have to do. We're not doing anything.
It's unfortunate in 2021, we didn't require that every class 5 road that we took over had a 50-foot right of way.
Right.
That would have been a much nicer scenario. Give up whatever you got to get to give us that 50-foot right of way. Doesn't mean we want you to bring the roads up to 50 foot. Not at all. We want the roads to stay the same. But if we had that 50-foot piece of property that down the road, we could make improvements happen, it would be so much
Which is
easier on the town.
pretty much what my point is that it's kind of future-proofing the road town's perspective, that we don't have to go through this rigmarole again, but kind of nip it in the bud, fix the issues of many of the roads are taken at the same time as part of that warrant article.
Right. We can only really address one at a time as they come up in situations like this.
Which I can't imagine any, this is one of the, if only the parcel that bisects one piece of land, which happens to be owned by the one individual. Other than that, it's already been kind of parceled off that.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
And can't this be further addressed at the planning board level when it comes up for subdivision, when you're doing your condition approval for the subdivision? Can't you further?
No, because at that point, so the planning board does not have the power to specify a town road's width. That's the provenance of the select board. the planning board can say, we would like an easement from the owner for a particular width, but only on those segments that are, directly affected. But to be able to affect the entire right-of-way, their town roads, it's the select board's decision. That's all I've got. Thank you.
No, it's very informative. Thank you.
So we're talking from here, we're just talking channel from here.
Right.
To
From Dolph to Indian Run.
Lamprey.
All
right? To Lamprey. Because this is actually Lamprey, I think, or no, it's channel there. Okay, to here.
Yeah, the channel goes all the way to the end.
The
And
second
then when
part
you,
of
when you
Lamprey.
turn left or right onto Lamprey, that's, the channel runs all the way to the end, correct?
The second.
And the
part.
Lamprey is kind of a hook,
Hmm,
just to make
Yeah.
sure.
yeah.
I'm gonna show you
Come
from
on.
this map now.
You're gonna be involved in this part.
Yeah, 'cause Lamprey.
The last question. I know channel to start at this intersection of Dolph,
Right, yep,
and it ends at
Right
this
there, yeah.
intersection of Lamprey,
Okay,
right?
that's what we were just
Lamprey.
pointing at.
Because the 911 wants a road to start and wants a road to end.
right,
Thus, it starts and it ends Lamprey. Lamprey used to be here and it used to be,
The whole,
Yeah.
the whole
So
thing.
now
Yeah.
Lamprey is here and it ends, and then there's discussions that I've had with Dale. What do we do with this little spur here? And so he's working with the 911 folks 2-3 weeks ago, last time I talked.
okay,
And that's
Sort of
actually,
beside the point, but.
Right,
Okay, and then Indian here.
Yeah.
So, talk about culverts. There's one culvert right here, not on channel. Beginning of this intersection.
yeah,
And then I didn't think it worth doing 33 or 50 here, because from here to 156, it's like 15 to 20 feet wide. This is not part of the discussion.
right.
So, yeah, we could make that 50, but what are you gonna do with this?
And I don't think it was ever made 50.
Right.
It's
It-
into a right-of-way
It's-
portion,
yeah,
but I don't know.
It's the right of way topic.
right, it's the right of way, Tom, yeah.
25 seems reasonable to me. I mean, the road was 15, so another 5 on each side. And the highway has come up there, they've pulled stumps, they've busted rocks, and it now looks great. So, but that's beside the.
Right.
So,
I think going back, I think highway has done the maintenance, and we've done snow removal, and we haven't heard anything from fire or police that we have an issue with access down this road with any of the equipment that we have. And the grader uses it. I mean, it's,
there are certainly more narrow roads that they're navigating.
Right, right. I mean, it's more of protection of the town for the future.
Yeah.
right, but
That's
to
what
his
it's
point,
about.
to what? Because there isn't,
Mr. Bassett.
see right there, there's a culvert.
Yep.
So there's no culvert on that road.
No, it's actually pretty
There are
high.
no culverts on Channel Street.
Correct, for still dealing with the maintenance that was brought up there.
Hmm.
There's no
Not that
culvert.
there won't need to be at
Right.
some point in time.
No, that
That would
cross
have
the
to
road. And,
There might be,
and the town has done some edge work.
depending on,
Road, water goes and it spreads, but it's all upland. Channel Street, pretty much from that intersection, goes upland to the intersection of Lamprey, and then it starts to go back down again. So it's good upland land. And so
Right,
I don't anticipate any crossroad. The
depends on,
highway guy needs to tell you that, not me.
future development could change it, but
Well, that 30-acre piece is going to be subdivided in half.
Yep.
To my, the piece below it goes to my third kid, and then there's 2 little pieces off to the left, so. Today, tomorrow, the next day,
who knows?
hopefully.
Next year, 2 years from now,
right, but there's no new road construction except for 2 driveways, potentially in the separation of the lots for the subdividing portion of it. your lot was already subdivided when all the roads were put in. There's not a lot you can do besides.
Yep.
So per the guidance here for the action, we could try to move this off, but we're not going to. Determine road width, the 25 feet as discussed, or 33 for the sub, and accept the road as laid out. What's that?
It was actually 50 for the subdivision. Regulations are 33 to match some of the other roads.
Oh, Doug, someone else?
So,
So
Didn't see you
Base
moving.
30 Lamprey Drive, I'm very familiar with this because I live there. There was a comment earlier about the history of Channel Street, that it's a very old road. Actually, it's a pretty new road. My understanding is it dates from the early 1960s. There is an older path of road that extends off of the where Doloff Dam Road ends now, parallels where Channel Street is, connects where Lamprey is, then where Lamprey makes a left turn, it goes through my yard, off to the point, crosses over the lake to the boat ramp on Horse Island. When Lamprey was subdivided in the early 1960s, Herb Lamprey created all those housing lots, of which I have one, and he relocated the road and created Lamprey Drive at that time. And Channel Street is part of that road created in the early 60s.
Okay, and then that was, the recent name change was,
To the E911.
okay, what time?
It was due to the E911.
Yeah, but what date was that?
couple years ago.
22.
Right, so the road was accepted by the town in 21 as it is. And then there was a name change, but the deed never really got updated. So it's like we're accepting a road that was accepted, but because the name wasn't correctly changed, right? Because 21 was when the road was accepted. 22 is when the name was
It was
changed.
accepted as Lamprey and then
Correct.
And
So we're kind of putting him through the ringer because something was, when it got changed for E911, and we're like, we're re-accepting a road that technically was already accepted.
Mhm.
The road as laid out in 2021 was accepted.
But your address doesn't change, right?
So, to Kevin Bassett's point about the need for culverts, he's right, this is upland. It's kind of hard for me to imagine, and I go over this all the time, where you would need to put any culvert in the future unless, Mount Pawtuckaway erupts again and topology is greatly changed. The next thing is about the widening of Channel Street. Since I have lived here, Channel Street has been widened twice. The first time it was widened, I came and complained to the board. It is destroying the rural, widening these roads is just destroying the rural character of the area. It's also making the roads unsafer. You make these roads wider and people go faster. If you pay attention to social media, you have lots of people complaining about, people zipping down our 25-mile-per-hour roads because they're over-engineered. And by that term, I mean engineered to a much higher speed. Do. Narrow roads produce natural traffic calming, and this road would be better off narrower. And in that regard, I wish to support Kevin's position that this should be a 25-foot road. Thank you.
Thanks for the information. Doug.
Any other comments?
What were you saying? But I mean, this road was accepted in 21. We're in a formality of a name change right now. So I don't, and he's gone through the process of making everything better marked out. The registry of deeds is marked out with the new name on it. So it's all fixed and he's done the course. I can't see at this time when the road was already accepted to be like, by the way, we want you to do more. I just don't see it myself. I'm for reapproval. Channel as is laid out per the sheet that we have now, because that was a question before, is how can we accept it if we don't know where it is? Now we know where it is, we know its width. I can't see putting much else on him. And then the planning board for the subdivision part, that's different in terms of requirements of there, but they're not gonna, will set the road. I don't know if we can ask for a right of way, but again,
I think we need to ask for right of way. I just, and to protect the town, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with leaving the road width at 25 feet, but the right of way has to be there.
so what additional, like, what does that do to us if we say,
I
or
don't
do to him? Is he gonna?
We got another
back?
comment.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Good evening to the board. My name is Ryan Fowler. I represent Mr. Bassett, the survey manager at James Brown Associates. To kind of recircle back on all the comments, the right-of-way has been adopted, basically, and the purpose of tonight's meeting was to define that width, which was unknown, right?
Okay.
Based off of Kevin's interactions with the board and the information that's been provided to me, that it was as is, where is, but that width was undefined. There were some comments at 25 feet, which is what we're proposing, just based off of those comments. I think the real intention of this meeting was to define that width so that we can carry on with a subdivision application, whatever, that width may be. There is a little bit of question with, historically, what was the width of the roads in the area? And if you ask for more, is that a taking? Does there need to be compensation? I can't answer those questions, but that is a, potential concern. Kevin seems to be fine with, the 25 feet. Anything more, I don't know on that. If that would be considered a taking, and then you'd have those avenues, that could be a potential issue for the town. But basically, my understanding tonight's meeting is to adopt that width, so we can try to move on with the process of subdivision. That is what was left as a cloud by what was accepted by the town. The town did accept a right of way, the class 5 road is a right of way.
Yep.
But the width was undefined. We go back a little bit, you could try to look into historically what the roads were in the area, 25 feet. A little bit of an odd size road for the time period. 60s, maybe not so much if it truly was the 60s. But, historically in New Hampshire, old roads were laid out by rods in divisions of 16.5 feet. 33 would be a typical measurement of an older road, but not necessarily in 1960. They might have used a more common footage, nearest foot measurement. But I just want to bring that to the board's attention so they have some more information and background. I hopefully shed some light to the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Any other comments from the public? So we need to determine the road width and then either accept the road as laid out in the presented survey plan. And then the part about the right of way is an additional step, I believe, that we would have to look into, like hard road to travel and consult legal.
You still need to, you would have to issue a written decision on this public hearing or on what your decision is, and then
Okay.
there is still an appeal process, but the path forward is what is going to be used
For his
this
application.
determination for the subdivision. So, I mean, ultimately what you're doing is, if you're going to come up with a decision tonight, you're verbally giving it to him, but there is still an appeal process, so that could be subject to change.
Okay.
I just wanted to make that known.
Nope, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is still the first of hopefully not many.
The intention was, based on what the board voted over a year ago, or was the intention was to move forward with a 25-foot width.
Correct. As is, and I believe it was cleaned up a little bit by the highway department for just better road maintenance and, plow. But I don't see us going in and saying, let's that.
No, I don't think anybody wants to clear that width.
Okay.
I don't think that's the issue. I think that having the right of way there to do what we need to do if the road needs to be,
If ever.
right, if ever. It may never have to be done, but having that flexibility and protecting the town with that flexibility is what's important.
So I guess the first part is, do you have anything, Sean?
Yeah, I
Thank you.
do, actually. I mean, I think we might miss an opportunity if we don't ask for an easement or a wider road, that we may regret it later. But I also think it's unfair to Mr. Bassett, who's followed what he was asked to follow.
Right.
And,
Yeah, no, it's,
it's an unfortunate circumstance, but I guess I would err on the side of maybe feeling regretful. Maybe looking into an easement, but to let him go ahead with the 25-foot width.
I think there's like two parts to this. So first, we should probably have a motion on what we want the road to be, do a roll call vote, and then we can talk about if we're asking for a right of way, that's an additional part.
Continuation of this.
Correct.
that's-
Possibly.
I'm
But he
fine.
needs the first part, the road. Let's just do the road part.
I'm fine with the width of the road at 25 feet.
All right, so somebody want to make a motion?
I will make a motion that the drivable layout of Channel Street, or the passable of Channel Street is 25 feet.
And probably I would say as is, as laid
As,
out.
as laid out per the subdivision plan 70-25 LLC, map 70, lot 25, dated 6/4/2025.
We have a motion on the floor?
It's not a subdivision plan.
It's a
It's a
layout.
It's a layout.
sorry.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
All right, sorry, layout plan. I know what the copy I'm looking at says subdivision. That's the planning board one for later.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept channel as laid out per the,
That's this one. That's why it's just supposed to be this road.
as laid out per the layout plan, map 70 lot 25 to 25 feet. Roll call vote.
I, Steve Walsh.
Hi, John Decker.
I'm Matt Sherlin.
Hi, Charlotte Fife.
All right. And you may want to make an additional,
All right.
you already have at least this discussion about the right of way.
Let's discuss the right of way, yeah.
So
I mean-
his talking about the additional rods and where the 33 feet came up with, can we just ask for 33 feet of a right of way? Do we need 50 feet for a right of way for a road that is?
That's been existing, I think.
Which
mean,
it makes a difference. Cut this
In a new subdivision,
southernish plot.
it calls for the 50 feet, right? That's our subdivision plan. But I would be okay with a 33-foot right of way for this previously existing road to do maintenance as necessary and snow load and whatever is needed.
Can we make the motion based on, like, and if we say like we accept it as is, but any future development may require it, like, can we have it binding or bound by any type of time or development? I don't
can't
know.
opine on that, I'm not an attorney.
Just try to,
I
again,
don't know if you can bind for reasonable.
so. Kevin, do you have any other comments on the right of way portion of it, or?
What's the difference between a right of way and an easement?
I wish I could give you better.
Definition.
I mean, you're saying it's a class 5 road, so we're saying it's a right of way,
It's an existing right of way. We don't know the width, right?
okay?
That's basically where we're at.
Right.
Is whether or not the town accepted this as a public road or not, there was some type of prescriptive rights for all these people that lived on this road, right? That accessed their property. They had a prescriptive right to use this road. What we did by getting the town to accept it is now the town can maintain it legally. They can trim trees, they can grade, they can do those things that they've kind of been doing. But now they have the right to do that. And the public has the right to traverse it, not just the people that lived here.
But we only have the right on 25 feet.
We don't know that
Right,
width,
no,
which is
and that's
why we're here.
But if we approve that
We just
tonight,
approved it.
Well, we just approved the drivable width of the road.
This is a very complex.
Right.
I don't, if I may, I
Yeah.
don't think we approved the drivable width, because the width, so we're showing a 25-foot maintenance easement around that line, that's what we defined. And that is 25
The
foot.
width of the road is,
Right, so it, I mean, as is, the drivable portion of the roads are within this 25-foot strip.
Yeah.
Right? So the gravel itself may be 15, it may be 17 somewhere else, or 12, right? But generally speaking, we've encased all these drivable roads in a 25-foot width, right? Asking for, easements and right-of-ways, I think we're starting to kind of lose track here. Again, we get into the damages. Now Kevin is expected to give up more property over than he's already allowing people to use without this width. Damages, I mean, someone's paying him
How
to
much
use
money
that
you
property. I mean, it's, he's been very nice about doing all this. I mean, this was a town vote. The people accepted it, we're just clarifying what they accepted.
Correct, and he took on the cost
Right, so
of
now
all
we're
the
gonna-
surveying. I do not diminish that.
If we did 50 feet, 33 feet, now we're taking more, town of Nottingham, the people are taking more of Kevin's land, right? And again, damages, who's gonna pay for that? I mean, is Kevin gonna eat the cost for that? He's losing the land value. Those are, these are these things. I understand the need to have a maintenance agreement or the need to be able to maintain that road. But one of my other concerns is that we're gonna start getting back into this loop of the subdivision. Talking about the subdivision regulations, but these roads are, he's already subdivided the land. I mean, like, lot, and now we're breaking this one a piece. Now is he gonna have to, by subdivision regulations, upgrade the road to 50 feet? It's a town road, it's already been accepted.
I'm not looking to upgrade anything, we're just looking.
Well, I'm concerned that this is gonna happen in the planning board meeting. We're talking about, concerns, you wouldn't have somebody upgrading 156, would you? I mean, I know it's an extreme, but it's already there, it's in existence. Just something to consider.
Right.
If I'm not a line Ryan, then if you can add anything to that.
no, I think Jason's, pretty much in line that, the idea tonight was what's the width, right? Because the town did accept it,
In the previous
in the
board,
previous-
we said 25 and everything that he's done for work to this
Mr.
point.
Bassett has hired an attorney before, reviewed these road records, and Jim Franklin reviewed them. And, they came to this determination that was an avenue that was needed to kind of make it official. The question is the width. We don't really know. There was apparently some talks in prior meetings. It was a little bit the vote of what exactly got accepted. I can see, I guess his opinion on that is justified. So I see that there, but I think the idea is we're trying to give you something that, with 25 feet, we can kind of make the road work, and it gives you a little bit of additional room for maintenance, with that. And this whole process is kind of a gray area, right? Because the town did accept this as a public right of way. And, the question is